Welcome everyone. If you have a CNC machine and you're looking for a woodworking project that sells, this is it. I've sold hundreds of these and made thousands of dollars. This project alone has paid for my entire shop. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly what this product is, how to make it, and why it sells so well. I'm also going to offer tips and suggestions on how to streamline your production process, keep your costs low, and market and distribute your product. Stick around because you're going to learn everything there is to know about adding this to your woodworking business's inventory and how to make money with it too. So let's get into what this product is and why it sells. The product is simple. It's a custom wooden American flag. The reason it does so well is because people love to commemorate the service of a loved one, whether it be military, fire, police, sports teams, whatever it is. Giving a gift to a loved one that has been custom made just for them sends a message to people that someone in their life cares. It just hits home. But to maximize your success with this or any other product, you need to keep some key points in mind during the production process. Those points are, number one, keep the cost of production as low as possible. Number two, ensure repeatability. Number three, have a plan for marketing. And number four, have a plan for distribution. So let's talk about my production process for these flags and how I apply these key points along the way. As a bonus, I'm happy to share with you the Vcarve file that I use as a template for my custom flags. Just comment Vcarve file flag in the comment section and let me know where to send the file to. So step one in this process is materials, guys. We got to gather our materials and supplies. The first thing you're going to need is a 20 by 36 by 3/4 inch wood panel. I get mine at Lowe's and Home Depot. I'm sure you can find similar home stores in your area that sell the same thing if you don't have Home Depot or Lowe's near you. Also, you're going to need a quart of Minwax Barn Red stain, a quart of Minwax Indigo stain, and a quart of Minwax water-based polyurethane. You're also going to need a 2 foot by 2 foot by 3/4 inch plywood panel for the backing. The total cost for this project, guys, is a little bit less than 30 bucks. Keeping your costs low. So to be successful here, you need to figure out a happy medium between what are your lowest cost supplies that allow you to maintain the quality of your product, and also what type of material is going to let you work quickly. For example, for this product, I needed a rectangular panel of wood that was at least 19.5 by 35 inches dimensions. So I started out buying individual strips of wood and gluing them together to form panels that I could then use in my project. The total for that amount of wood came out to $34.62. But then I discovered I could buy pre-made panels in the same wood type that were half the cost at $18.50. Not only were they half the cost, but now I don't have to cut my 1 by 2 by 6s to dimension, glue them up, sand them down. I just had my pre-made panels. I was basically skipping step 1 to step 4. It was beautiful. So in the end, it was saving me a ton of time and increasing my ability to quickly make this product. A second example, I used to buy hanging hooks and picture wire for my flags. This was roughly $8 to $9 per flag, but I really didn't like the look of how these hung off the wall. They kind of hung off the wall at a little bit of an angle. So I decided, hey, I'm a woodworker. I have keyhole bits. I can buy a piece of plywood and put in a keyhole slot, glue it to the back of this thing, and save a ton of money. This gave it a much more professional look. As a bonus, plywood's better at staying straight than regular wood is because of the way it's made. So using a backing on the flag of plywood helps keep the flag flat and prevent any bowing or cupping that can happen with the changing of the seasons. Step 2 is the Vcarve design. So for the Vcarve design, I'm creating a flag that is 35 inches wide by 19.5 inches tall. This gives me enough room to cut the flag out of the 20 by 36 inch panel that I bought and have a little room left over. That's going to become important in a later on step. For tool paths, I use a 90-degree V-bit with a Vcarve tool path for the stars and stripes, larger lettering, and bordering around the logo. I also use the 90-degree V-bit to cut a shallow line marking where the union and logo are on the flag. Again, this is going to be very important at a later step. The toolpath created for the stripes has 2 clear out paths with a 0.25 inch bit and 0.125 inch bit. So that's a 1/4 inch bit and an 1/8 inch bit. This hogs out the majority of the wood so the V-bit can then go in and do its thing. For the logo, I'm using a 45-degree V-bit for the lettering and the cross rifles. I save these toolpaths as G-code so I can use them in my CAM software at a later step. So that brings me to key point number 2, which is repeatability and streamlining the process. So you need to find a product that you can not only make quickly, but up to your standards of quality. To do that, you have to set up systems in your shop. For example, I have a system to buy materials, a system to prep materials for the CNC, a system for designing any customization on the item, a system for payment, system for marketing, and a system for distribution. Setting up these systems will allow you to work quickly and accurately, which will allow you to have more product available and maintain the quality of the item that your customers come to expect. My system for adding customization to my flags is to use a basic template in Vcarve for my flags. This template has the basic flag with stars and stripes in the dimensions that I need with the toolpaths already set. When I'm making a custom flag, all I have to do is add my engravings the customer wants, any logos, and throw in the toolpaths for them. Super simple, super quick. If you're finding this video helpful today, guys, it would go a long way if you hit that subscribe button to see more content, and also hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when new videos come out. Thank you. Step 3 is going to be cutting and coloring the flag. Once I've purchased my materials and I have my flag all designed in the CAD software, I'm ready to get started on the flag. The first thing I'm going to do is open up my panel and sand it. This is done for a couple of reasons. First, these panels are thrown around at Home Depot and Lowe's quite a bit, and they will invariably have dings and dents and scratches all over them that are going to show up in your stain if you don't sand it down. Second, I want to use 100 grit, 180 grit, and then finish with 320 grit to create a super smooth finish. And this is because I'm going to be using Oramask on the flag, and it needs a super smooth surface for the Oramask to stick to. If you don't know what Oramask is, we're going to get into that more later. So once I've sanded, I'm ready to secure the workpiece to the spoil board. I've created a video about different methods you can use to do that, and I'll put a link up here if you want to check that video out. I'm going to use my plastic nail gun with Raptor nails here. So you remember earlier on, I told you I bought a panel that's 20 by 36, and I'm creating a 19.5 by 35 inch flag out of it. This is where that comes in. So I left myself a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch border all around the flag so I can put in my plastic wrapper nails and secure it to the spoil board. So at this point, I want this flag to have a blue union, red stripes, and then natural wood color for the white stripes. I also want the logo to be natural wood color with black lettering and gold cross rifles. To do that though, I need to know exactly where the union and logo is going to be on the flag. So my first cut is going to be the toolpath I created to create the shallow lines marking the location of the union and the flag. This allows me to then add my blue stain to the union and red stain to the rest of the flag, and now put the red stain where the logo is going to be, and then also marks out a section where I can put my Oramask onto the area where the logo is going to be so I can engrave in that and add different colors. So now that I've added my stain and Oramask, I can go ahead and cut the rest of the toolpaths I've created. Total time for cutting on this project is roughly an hour. marketing. So when I first started out, I didn't have a formal plan for marketing, other than advertising on Facebook Marketplace to generate some sales. But I learned through trial and error a strategy that works and attracts customers to keep them coming back. Start off with family and friends, and don't take on more work than you can handle. The idea here early on is to really focus on quality. Make people really quality items, and they not only spread the word about your business, they're going to come back to buy more. I also found that generic items are very hard to sell initially. I mean, how many cutting boards have you seen at craft fairs that are the exact same thing? People have no reason to buy your cutting board over someone else's because they don't trust you yet. But if you earn their trust by delivering a quality custom item like one of these flags, the next time they go to buy something generic, like this cutting board or maybe like a knife rack you've made or something else, they're going to feel comfortable with you and they're going to go ahead and buy your product. They don't need to search for an item because they know where to get it. They know you. So focus on quality over quantity at first and you'll see amazing growth. Step 4. So we're going to add a round over, some charring to the flag, and then our backing. So for the round over, I use a 3/8 inch round over bit on my router table to add this. Super simple, quick step. Moving on to the charring. So this is where your blowtorch and your propane tank is going to come in. Don't be intimidated by this. It's not hard to do. All you need to do is add consistent flame to the flag. Keep the propane torch roughly 2 to 3 inches away from the flag and just go smooth and even to add your charring. It not only gives the flag a little bit of a rustic look, but it also makes some of the carved out details pop a little bit more. I think it looks really cool. Not everybody likes this charred look, so this is something you can build into your selling system as an option to add if people want it. So then we're going to add our backing. So I'm going to cut my 3/4 inch plywood that I bought from Home Depot at 18.5 by 24 inches. Now this plywood is going to give you a couple of things. First, it's going to create a raised look when you go to place the flag on the wall. I think it's really cool how the flag almost seems to float off the wall. Second, you can add your keyhole slot to the plywood, which makes cheap and easy hanging for your customers. Key point number 4, distribution. So when I made my first couple of flags, I hadn't even thought about how to distribute them yet. My plan was to figure it out as I went. That did eventually work, but I had a lot of growing pains along the way. So I want to share this with you guys today, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. So one of the most important things to think about when making the flag is finding a source for cheap shipping materials and basing the size of the flag you're going to make off of a box you've already researched that you know will fit the flag. So I found a company on Amazon that sells 24 by 36 by 4 inch boxes for $8.40 a box. So I know it fits my flag perfectly. It's cheap. I could buy them in packs of 10 from Amazon. And in that way, I don't have to make the flag and then frantically search for a box that fits the flag, maybe find an odd shaped box that I can't buy in bulk. There's a lot of problems that can happen along the way. So make sure you're going to size your flag based off of a shipping box that you already have in mind. The other thing to think about when it comes to distribution is, what are you going to use for shipping? I opened up a small business UPS account, and it worked really well for me in that the business account keeps your costs low. You get a special discount for doing that. You get good deals on shipping. And I could set up my shipping through my website, which was Squarespace, through UPS, and it was just easy to coordinate. I will tell you, if you go the UPS route, their customer service sucks. If a flag is broken in transit, it is a nightmare dealing with them to try to get a refund on that item. I'm assuming you deal with that with most of the shipping companies, but just an FYI. So step number 5, last step, is adding the finish for your flag. So I have an HVLP sprayer that I usually use for this step, but mine's on the fritz right now and I need to buy another one. So a good alternative to this, and especially if you're only making a couple flags, is to buy the spray bottles of the finish. It's a little more expensive to do it this way, so I don't recommend doing it long term. I recommend getting an HVLP sprayer, but I picked up 2 bottles for this, and what I'm going to do is just put on 4 nice even coats, and this is going to give the flag some protection, and it really, this finish, I get gloss sheen, and it really makes the flag pop when you put it on the wall. If you found today's video helpful, guys, check out this CNC playlist that's got a ton of more videos about how to manage your CNC machine and do some cool builds.